Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of the Unscripted Dispatch, where today we're going to be talking about concerts. Now, as I've said in the first episode, I think it was, that this year has been really the year of the concert for me, where I've been to, when this comes out, on the fourth week already, episode 4. I can't believe that it's been 4 weeks since the first episode came out. Like, this is insane. But at this point, I've been to 17 concerts this year alone. And obviously, that is a crazy amount for anybody to have been to. But I really wanted to go and really get out there this year and see some artists. From the first concert that really kind of made me want to get out this year and see was Sabrina Carpenter. Now, me, my best friend, and her sister went out to see Sabrina Carpenter, and really from that point, it was, oh, I quite like these concerts. I quite like the idea of them. So, very quickly, I started booking them, and then other artists started announcing tours. I was like, oh god. And by the point that I'm at now, at the start of December, 17 later, it's just been a crazy, crazy year. So I want to pick out two concerts and really compare where it was when I first saw. So basically, So in 2023, it was my first ever time seeing Beyonce. Now, I went up to Scotland with my best friend, the same person that went to Sabrina Carpenter with, and we went to see Beyonce in Edinburgh on my birthday. Now, this was something that I'd always wanted to do. And before 2023, I never really had the money, or I wasn't old enough really when she had toured previously. So, this was my first opportunity to see her, and it was incredible. But this was the first kind of concert that I'd been to where it wasn't just a train ride away or a taxi ride away. So, because before Beyonce, I hadn't really ever been to a concert. The only concert that I had been to prior to that was Paloma Faith, and that was in 2017. So that was 6 years before I went to see Beyonce. So it was kind of like I didn't know what to expect, really. And I can tell you now, and from what I'm going to be telling you, that it was certainly a learning curve. It was definitely something that I've learned from. So, really, let's get into it. And so, basically, starting off was getting to the concert was fine. I felt after that, when I've gone to other concerts, that's been the same. Getting there isn't the problem, it's the getting home. But we got to the hotel, unpacked, we got dressed, and it was such like a build up. And we got, I think it was a taxi to the venue, because it was at Murrayfield Rugby Stadium. Yeah, it was a taxi. So we got a taxi there, and it wasn't too bad in price because it was before there was a demand. So that was like, oh, it was actually really easy to get here. That's fine, perfect. And we got there, and we got some food before, and then we lined up. Now, this was when the first problem kind of set in, because on the tickets that we got, it didn't tell you which quarter of the stadium to stand at. And it was like, are we in the right place? Are we in the right area even? And you have to wade through the crowd, because if I'm remembering correctly, there were 60,000 people at Murrayfield to see Beyonce. So even before the concert, even a couple hours before the concert, it was busy. There was so many people there. And trying to find someone who actually worked there was hard because everyone looked the same. Everyone was dressed in bright, vibrant colours. So even the concert staff or the venue staff didn't really stand out in high vises, because the Renaissance tour was a tour that was colourful, was bright, was bold, was edgy. So people in high vises didn't stand out. And it was like, somebody with information, please come and talk to me. eventually we did find someone, and luckily we were in the right place. And I remember us lining up at the door, and there was three people in front of us, and then me and my best friend. And it got to the gates open, and everyone's like cheering and screaming, like, "Yes, we're going in!" And the three girls in front of us were in the wrong place. They hadn't checked, so they had to literally run to another quarter of the stadium to get in. And we were first in line in the queue that we were in, and we were like, oh my god, this is just, you could feel the excitement building so quickly. And we got through the little check-in, the security where they checked our bags and everything, and then we were inside the grounds. If you've not been to Murrayfield before, it's kind of like you've got the stadium, you've got like outside buildings, and then you've got like a wall around the entire stadium, on the grounds of the stadium. So actually when you go in through the turnstiles on the outside walls, you're then kind of in like a complex where you've got the main stadium, and then like the merch stands and the merch stalls, and then other little buildings. I can't really remember what they were because we didn't go to them. But we walked in, we arms locked, we were just walking over to the merch stand because it was my first Beyonce concert. You'd be silly to think that I was not getting some merch. And we weren't standing, we were seated. So we knew no matter how long it took, we were going to be seated because we had tickets. But the people who were standing, oh my god, like lethal. I've never seen, because Paloma Faith, again, we were seated. So we were sat near the back of the arena, and it didn't really matter because we didn't really see the people who were standing because they were lined up in a separate place. But these people, my god, they just, words can't really describe what they did. They charged like a stampede. That's probably the best word to describe it, a stampede, towards the stadium to the point where they fell over each other on the concrete. Now, a lot of concert wearers don't wear overly protective clothing, so people were bleeding on their knees, on their legs, and it was like, Jesus Christ. I know you want to get barrier, which I now know is apparently a term at the front, is barrier. I've sat in so many seats, I don't know barrier, never been barrier, but it was like, fucking hell, just take a chill. But these people, they were stampeding to the front, and we were just leisurely walking like, this is just a beautiful day. The sun was shining at this point. It was just fantastic. We get our merch, get some drinks, we're sat down, and the concert starts. And I don't care what people say about Beyonce, she is goated. Her voice, her performance, her skill, her talent is unmatched. No one can compete with her. And a little Beyonce reference in there for anybody who's in the know. Thank you, click. But it was just incredible to see someone that you've listened to for so long and for so many years growing up to then literally being in the same arena as you. It's just insane. So we watch the show, we enjoy the show, and then it ends, which obviously is really sad. And we start to leave slowly, but before even leaving, the end of the show comes. And she's got on the set, she's got a picture of her and her Uncle Johnny, who passed away from AIDS back in many years ago, I think. And she really loved her uncle. Her uncle made loads of the outfits for her, for Destiny's Child, and so he was a really, really important figure. And he actually, she sings one of her songs, and he's in that, and so you can really tell the emotional connection to him for her. And you kind of sat there, and you kind of looking at the picture, and you're like, I really have just experienced that. And it's like, whoa. Something that you built up for, something you've built up the emotion for, like, over. I tried to click with the other finger, but it didn't work. I can't click with that finger, so snap. But was over like that, and it's like insane. So you start walking out kind of in a mix of, did that just happen? Yes, it did. But this is kind of where the first problems start to set in. So when you're going to the concert, not everybody's going at the same time. People are getting there at different times, being kind of staggered. So it doesn't really matter getting there, but getting home, 60,000 people are also trying to get home. Now we kind of naively were like, oh, we'll just book an Uber. Like we did it here, it'll be fine. Uber prices went through the fucking roof. Now anybody who's been to a concert or been to an event and for afterwards wants to get an Uber home will know that your £15 Uber from your hotel to the venue is now £120 to get back. Now, both of our phones were 2%, 3%. Hers had actually died. Mine, I still had a few percent left. And we were like, oh my God, what do we actually do here? Because all the cars that were already there were pre-booked. We were like, well, how do you do that? And obviously it was too late because it was the night of. But cars were there and it was so chaotic. Ambulances were going past because they were leaving the arena and, well, stadium. And one car got on the roundabout but wasn't big enough to get over the roundabout. So they were just stuck there and revving the engine. The engine's going like so goddamn loud. And it was just like, oh my, so much was happening. It was so chaotic. And we were like, well, let's just find a bus and let's try and get the bus back. So we went to the bus stop, outside the stadium. And a bus pulled up and we were like, we're trying to get to this hotel. Do you go past here? And he went, no. We were like, oh. And he went, what you'll need to do is you need to get the next one. So we were like, awesome, fantastic. So we waited. The next bus comes, the bus that the previous driver told us to get on. We were like, does this bus go to this hotel? The previous driver told us. He went, no, you needed to get on that one. Motherfucker! Like, come on! We were like, are you kidding? And that bus that had gone was the last bus of the night. So there was no more after that till the morning. We were like, oh shit. So things started to set in and we were like, do we just walk? But it was a 40-minute walk away. At this point, we were kind of like starting to probably internally panic. I know I was. Because it was like, we need to get home, but how the hell do we get home? So we were like, right, it's fine. We'll go back to the stadium and try and get on a tram because there was a tram station outside. So we're walking back. It's starting to rain. We were like, oh my God, this incredible evening is starting to turn into like, it's kind of scary because we were only, well, I was 20, she was 19 because we were born literally a couple of weeks apart. So this was kind of like a first big out solo travel kind of, well, solo travel for the pair of us to get out there and see something in a different country. And it was like, oh shit. So we got to the tram station and it was like, we need to get to this hotel. Can it go that way? Yes. We were like, stunning. Got on and we spoke to someone. They went, oh, it doesn't go to that hotel. It goes to this hotel. We were like, oh my God. All these people trying their hardest, doing their jobs. Absolutely. But like, come on. So we get off at this hotel, which was not our hotel. And we were like, what do we do? So I was like, you know what, let's go. So we went into this hotel, not our own hotel, just a completely random hotel. And we were like, look, we've been trying to get home from this concert for the past 3.5 hours. And we just need to get home. Can you book us a taxi? And they were like, yeah, we're a sister hotel to the hotel. So yes, of course. We were like, praise the fucking Lord. Thank you, Jesus. So the guy behind the reception books a taxi. The taxi picks us up and takes us back to the hotel. And we were like, oh my God. At this point, both of our phones died. We hadn't messaged our parents and nothing. So once we finally got back and like plugged our phones in to charge them, we got an absolute flurry of messages from parents. It's like, oh my God, what's happened? You've not messaged us. Are you okay? Are you like, is everything okay? All this. And it was like, yeah, just the phones died and nothing was getting us home. Now, it was one of the biggest learning curves that I've personally had when it comes to concerts, because I really hadn't thought about this before, because the previous Paloma Faith concert I went to, we were picked up afterwards. So it wasn't a case of having to scramble around to find transport home. So this was the first kind of like probably reality check that it isn't that easy. So make sure you make some preparations before, otherwise it's going to take you 4 hours to get home, which it was around that by the time the concert finished. I think the concert finished at 10 and we got home about 1-2 o'clock in the morning, because it just took us absolutely forever to get home. But so after that, other concerts I've been to afterwards, it was been make sure you know how to get home. So let's fast forward to 2025 when 2024 when Beyonce announces Cowboy Carter, and then the Ultimate Cowboy Carter Tour, which was in 2025. Now, before I even get on to the actual concert, the Ticketmaster. Now, Ticketmaster should just be called, I don't even know at this point, because Ticketmaster, you go on to buy tickets and it just isn't an enjoyable journey. It's literally a war. You have to fight your arse off to get tickets. And I had signed up to the Beyonce pre-sale. I didn't get a pre-sale code, and I was a bit like, where's my code, bitch? Where's my code? Didn't come. Never did. Now, on the day of the sale, of the pre-sale, I was in Malta. Now, this is where the problem lies, and I think I didn't get my code because I think I was in Malta. Now, I wasn't on a British Wi-Fi. I don't know if that affects it, if I'm being stupid, but the moment I came back to the UK, I then got the email about 3 days after the pre-sale with my code, which didn't give me shit. Thanks. Thank you, Ticketmaster. Now, luckily, I was able to snag myself some tickets and see her again. But this time, I made sure to properly plan it. Now, I spent a hell of a lot more. I think when me and my friend went up to Scotland, we paid £600 altogether. Now, when I went to see Beyonce this time round, oh God, I paid £1,000 because what I did was I booked the hotel. I flew down to London because, people are probably going, oh, he flew, posh prick. It was cheaper by about £150 to fly than it was to get a train, because that's just the state that this country's in. But that is a topic for another episode. But so I flew down to London. I had my hotel, and then I pre-booked. I found out how to do it, and I pre-booked a car to take me from my hotel to Tottenham Hotspurs, because that's where it was, and then the stadium back to the hotel. Now, this was a 25-kilometer journey, give or take. So, for me to do that on public transport, I think I would have had to have took a bus, 2 trains into central London, a underground to Tottenham, and then a overground train to Tottenham Hotspurs. And it would have took me about 2 hours to do that journey. I was like, no. So I paid £110. I think it was £110 per journey, so it was like £220 there and back. And my God, it was a godsend, because I got to the stadium really quickly, and within an hour of the concert finishing, I was back in my hotel eating a Domino's. But that journey just felt completely different, stress-free. My driver was an icon. He literally put blasting music on all the way home, and by this point I had a headache because I just listened to a 3-hour concert and it was stunning. Every word, I was dancing, singing, screaming, vibing to 2025 Cowboy Carter Beyonce. But got in this car and oh my god, he was an absolute legend. So if I can say anything about kind of preparing yourself for a concert, one, go and see Beyonce. Act 3 is coming soon. I hope it's 2027 because my bank account cannot afford an early tour in 2026. So please give me a 2-year gap, Beyonce. Number one. Number two, pre-book a car. I can't stress this enough. Even if it's just for one journey back, make sure you do it, because to stress yourself when 60,000 people are coming out of a concert and to not have that car ready waiting is just frightening. You don't want to catch yourself in a 4-hour getting home, so make sure you book that car. But compared to other concerts this year, those two have only been the ones that I've either... Well, 2023 I struggled to get to. Obviously, 2025 I didn't struggle to get to because I really researched and planned out how I was going to get there and back and make sure that it was a safe journey for me. But every other concert this year hasn't been like that because they've either been at Co-op Live in Manchester, which is so easy to get to, and they come with... Now, actually, I say that, they mostly come with car parks to for you to park on. Now, I was meant to go and see Busted vs. McFly last week or the week before. One of the two. Now, they didn't have the car park. And I was like, wait, why? Now, apparently it's because with Etihad football ground being next door, they use that car park for like their overflow car park. So even if there's a concert on, it's kind of like, well, fuck you, concert goers. You are second best, which is just rude. And it didn't really matter anyway because I had to miss the concert because I was at work. But it was like, oh. So those lessons I had learned from 2023 kind of kicked in and was like, actually, how do I get to there without it taking forever? Because even now, thinking about it, you'd have to get a train into Manchester and then a tram from central Manchester up to Co-op Live. But doing that in the reverse isn't the same because trains stop at a certain time. And it's like, public transport just isn't reliable anymore, especially for going to and from concerts. And I know public transport isn't just for concert goers and getting home and for me and all that, but it's like a consideration should be made, especially for if they know they're going to have a concert at the same time a football match. Don't use that car park. Simple. Like, people pay to go there. And if I hadn't had someone to take me, obviously I missed it because of work, but I would have had to miss out because there was absolutely no way I could get to and from there without spending an insane amount on taxis. Because Uber, price hikes. Cap your hike and people might use you on the way home. Like, come on, it's like common sense, but apparently no one thinks about this unless you're just a normal person. So, all in all, concerts... no, I'm going to... left it on that a little sour note, but concerts are fantastic. And the 2023 comparison to 2025 was unmatched. Like, if I could relive 2023 with the knowledge that I know now, it would have been a completely different journey. One, home. Two, actually being there. Now, I drove up to Scotland, but the stadium didn't have anywhere to park, so that was pointless. But honestly, concerts this year have been probably my saving grace, because this year's been a very challenging year with my masters and other things going on, and concerts have been that great escape, really, from the everyday norm. Now, I do want to do another episode where I talk about other concerts that I've been to, and some that I think have been really amazing, some that I think have been really worth the money, and some that I think haven't been worth the money because have I been stung on Ticketmaster with the resale? Yes. I can tell you now from the get-go that is a yes. Now, I do want to talk about that, about Ticketmaster and their more in depth about the booking process and the resale process and the fact that people hike prices to unfair amounts. But that is for another episode. Now, as I said, I can't believe we're at week 4 already, and I'm looking forward to week 5. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure to like, comment, and follow. The podcast is now also going to be on YouTube. I have learned and figured out how to do that, so everyone should be impressed because I really don't know technology that well, and so being able to see it on YouTube is fantastic, and I can't wait to start seeing people enjoy it on both platforms. So that is it from me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for following along, and I'll see you next time. See you later.